UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira. This is going to be Vegas 113, the first fight night of the year. Two fighters looking to get a title shot maybe after whoever wins in an crazy fashion. Vincent Oliveira looking pretty good on a good streak right now. Bautista always showing that he's a tough guy. Had a very decent, not super competitive, but decent bout versus Nurmagomedov. He did hurt him in some sense. But overall, this is a pretty good card all the way from the prelims to the main fight. This is Rhythm Bets. If you haven't already, go like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the socials. Tell your friends if they're into UFC. I'll be here all year breaking down every single card, breaking down every single fight on every single card. But without further ado, these are the socials right here. Instagram, TikTok. If you like the beat that you just heard, make sure you shoot me an email at RhythmBetsLLC. Follow the Discord. Follow the Juice Worlds. Let's get into this. All right, starting out the fight night, we got Claudia Sygula taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. Right here in the women's bantamweight division. Claudia Sygula, 27 years old with a pro record of 7-2, UFC record of 1-1. She's a decent striker, pretty grapple heavy. She gives a lot of sub looks, but towards the higher competition, doesn't really finish the subs. I need to see her versus a lot higher competition, but nothing really sticks out for me. I guess the only thing sticking out for the UFC right now is the looks, but she's not the best fighter. She's going against Priscilla Cachoeira, age 37, 13-7 pro record. She is 5-7 in the UFC, nicknamed the Zombie Girl, and it is because of her forward pressure nonstop. She looks to just continually throw without disregard of getting hit. We have the fighters swapped on this one. Anyway, she's a pretty average grappler, little form when it comes to striking, but the pressure seems to get to people sometimes. She's a UFC vet at this point. She loses the good fighters, sort of kind of beats the bottom of the barrel to continue staying in the UFC. But as tough as this is, very low confidence. I'm gonna go the Zombie Girl by decision. I think that type of pressure she will bring is something that Claudia has not seen yet. And I think this can really throw her off her game. Very unconfident pick. Why not go for the dog? And Priscilla Cachoeira. I don't think I'm saying that right. Anyway, let's move on. We got Gafurov versus Jacob Wiklacz in the bantamweight division. Gafurov, 29 years old with a pro record of 20-6. He is 2-2 in the UFC. Goes by the Tajik. He has big power, looping hooks, good pressure. He can deploy wrestling if he needs to. He started his professional career, not UFC career, with a couple subs. Looked like he was definitely a sub specialist guy, but over the time seemed to transition over to KOs. He does have a pretty slick, tricky style when he's in range. He likes to switch stance, get off some odd shots. So we'll see how that plays out going against Jacob Wiklacz, who is 29 years old with 17-3-2 pro record. He is 1-0 in the UFC with a win over Patchy Mix. Was a pretty close bout. Really even. I guess I'd have to give it to Wiklacz. And that's with putting money on Patchy Mix. You know, I was obviously disappointed that he lost, but I wasn't super upset with the decision there. But overall, for just stepping into the UFC, he has good experience already. A lot of fights under his belt. He has a pretty awkward style somewhat. But yeah, he's a sub specialist. That's what he does. That's what he looks to do. Doesn't really look to strike. So see how that plays out. I'm gonna go Gafurov by KO. I just think that hook that speed that he carries and that striking is going to be a problem for Jacob Wiklacz. And I think he's good enough on the ground to stay out of trouble, unless Wiklacz really is persistent on these takedowns and just trying not to let go and get something. But we'll see if that even gets rewarded. But if this fight can stay up, I think he gets knocked out. He's been knocked out before, and now that he's going against a non high level grappler, but a person that knows how to grapple but has hands, I think this could be an issue for him. Muin Gafurov by KO. Let's move on. We got Said Nurmagomedov taking on Yavid Basharat. One of two brothers on this card. This is also in the bantamweight division. We got Said Nurmagomedov, 33 years old with a pro record of 18-5, UFC record of 7-4. He is elite karate style, taekwondo type fighter. The one thing I noticed that is just very nice that he throws out is that he has a very slick lead head kick. When people do take him down, he looks to deploy that guillotine, which does do some damage every here and there. He does put out a couple people with it, force some taps with it, but overall, if someone's really good, they can usually get past that. He also has a crazy spinning kick, a lot of spinning attacks. Overall, just a deep arsenal when it comes to the striking game. So don't ever count him out if the fight is standing up. Now we got him taking on Yavid Basharat, 30 years old with a pro record of 14-2, UFC record of 3-2. He is the Snow Leopard. He is a technical, exciting striker. Clean in and out jab, good head movement, good teeps to the middle. You know, he does like to rip those pretty often. And he had a pretty competitive fight with Aiemann Zahabi, which looked really good. Honestly, towards the end, taking out a few moments from Aiemann Zahabi, you would have thought, this fight could have went either way, but that looks well, ages well, and he has a really good gas tank is what I noticed. They obviously looked tired at the end somewhat. Aiemann Zahabi looked a little better, but keeping at his pace and being able to look like that at that third round looked pretty good. And honestly, for those reasons, we're going to go Yavid Basharat by decision. I think when it comes to the striking arsenal, they're pretty close. This one's going to really come down to that cardio. I don't really see either of them knocking each other out. I see them tagging, being somewhat strategic, a little more hesitant to engage. But when it happens, I can see Basharat somewhat getting the best of the exchanges. And in those later rounds, I see his volume taking over due to the cardio. So yeah, Yavid Basharat by decision. Let's move on to Wang Cong versus Eduardo Moura. Wang Cong, 33 years old, 8-1 pro record, 3-1 overall in the UFC. She's the Joker, elite striker. She had a flash loss to Gabriela Fernandez by sub, or she was looking good and just got caught in a submission. That happens in UFC, but she's looking to trend on going forward. Looking pretty good so far. Doesn't mind trading, doesn't mind getting in those good exchanges. See how that goes against Eduardo Moura, 31 years old with a pro record of 12-1. She is 3-1 in the UFC. She's not really known for her striking, but she can throw with some intent. She does look to put some butter on them blows. Doesn't do well when she's backing up though. She'll definitely, if she's getting pressured, lose the striking battle. But overall, her game is not the striking. Her game is grappling and getting people to the ground. Sub looks, mostly sub looks, not a lot of ground strikes, but she has moved up in division and she's looked good. She's looked really good. I think that one loss at the lower division, Denise Gomes, just that happened as well. She looked good in that fight as well. And I think she's going to get a lot more comfortable in this division. I'm going to go Eduardo Moura by sub. I think she looks good at the new weight. As long as she's patient, like she has been, and really knows that she's going to probably get hit. It's Cong. She's an elite striker. But if she can get off a couple hits, get some respect, keep this fight standing, and then look in the later parts of the round to get some takedowns, she can either get the takedown, go full-fledged, and pull out a sub, or she can get this to decision as long as she takes minimal damage in the stand-up and gets a lot of takedowns and ground control, sub looks, she could win this by decision. So Eduardo Moura by sub. Let's be spicy with it, all right? All right, now we got Bruna Brasil taking on Ketlin Souza. Bruna Brasil, 32 years old with a pro record of 11-5, UFC record of 3-1. She's a decent striker, good arsenal. Training with the Fighting Nerds now. She's kind of took her aggressiveness down since then and has been more of a technical striker. She's now more of a technical striker. Doesn't really excite me when we're talking fights in the UFC. Doesn't really stick out too much. She's all right. She's good. She's going to be taking on Ketlin Souza, who's 31 years old with a pro record of 15-6, UFC record of 2-3. She's a high-level grappler, has lost to very respectable names. She has decent pressure when fighting as far as the grappling threat. And we're going to go Ketlin Souza by decision. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. Neither of them really impressed me too much, but I think it's going to come down to she's just a higher-level grappler. And as long as she doesn't take a lot of damage from strikes and can, keep it messy and keep this away from being a technical battle, yeah, she could pull this off. I don't really see. I see this fight should be a lot closer in odds. Bruna Brasil's a plus 124 dog. Ketlin Souza's the minus 148. I think it could be a little closer, but yeah, it's low confidence. Ketlin Souza by decision. Let's move on. All right, we got Niko Price taking on Nikolai Veretennikov. Veretennikov, 36 years old with a 13-7 pro record. He is 1-3 in the UFC. I don't know why they call him the Gladiator. He has a good, decent striking, somewhat that I've seen. Decent grappling from what I've seen. He's pretty average. He has faced some decent guys, but he just doesn't really have a huge threat. He could get off some 1-2s. He could rip that overhand right and make it look decent and make someone worry for that moment, but he has very low volume. I think he needs to get more aggressive for where his skill set is looking like it's at. I think he needs to be more aggressive or just become a Sambo type guy and just start slamming. Like he needs to pick a route. He's taking on Niko Price, 36 years old with a pro record of 16-9. He is 8-9 in the UFC with 2 no contests. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu based guy with some slick boxing. He has a clean uppercut. It's one thing I've noticed. He gets controlled by elite grapplers. I don't know if Veretennikov is that elite of a grappler. I don't know. We'll see. But he does have some decent clinch work as well, Niko Price. This is a very tough one. And just because I'm just feeling spicy on this card, we're gonna go Niko Price by decision. This is low confidence again, but I think he's just a little craftier with the boxing. I don't know if he has as much power, but I think he'll be able to get more volume off in this stretch, and the octagon experience will pay due. Nothing impressive from either of these guys besides experience on Price's end, but yeah, Niko Price with the price of plus 200 going against Nikolai Veretennikov of minus 250. Yeah, that's that. I'll go for him because of that price tag. Throwing a little skin on Niko Price wouldn't be the worst bet. I think there's value there. As long as this fight can stand up, I would like to see how it looks going to the ground with Veretennikov putting some pressure on. I like to see if he could do anything with it. Might get caught in a sub, who knows? Niko Price by decision. All right, now we got Alex Morono taking on Danny Donchenko. Alex Morono, 35 years old with a 24-12 pro record, UFC record of 13-9-1. He's the Great White. longtime vet. Beats all right competition. Loses to the good guys. Donchenko seems like a good guy. Not a lot of finishes, mostly decision wins. Gotten more chinny over time as well. Not looking too bright for the future of Alex Morono. He's taking on Danny Donchenko, who's 24 years old with a 12-2 pro record. He is 1-0 in the UFC with a vicious fight. Good in and out striker. Gets in the pocket really well. Looks to close the distance. Has tendencies to overthrow though. Good boxing combinations. Good check hook. Seems pretty durable so far. He can get hit, but does not go down easy. Looking at his tape in the regional scene, he's pretty battle tested. He's had some pretty close fights, which I think will be a good factor in this fight with Alex Morono. Overall, though, I think I'm gonna go Danny Donchenko by KO. I think it's just the age difference, 7+ years. Usually, the younger guy, like I think 64 or 65% of the time, the younger guy is gonna win. So he looks like he has the fire. He looks like he knows what he needs to do. As long as he can bring the pressure in this fight and just overwhelm with some strikes, get a knockout. Would love to see it. Donchenko by knockout. Now we're getting into the main card of the night. If you like what you see so far, go ahead, like and subscribe. Go lay a comment down what you thought of the prelims. But now we're in the main card. We got Dustin Jacoby taking on Julius Walker. Dustin Jacoby, the -185 favorite, and Julius Walker at that +154 price tag. Dustin Jacoby's 37 years old with a pro record of 21-9, UFC record of 9-6-1. He is a journeyman in the game. Good technical striker. He's an absolute dog. Good grappling defense. He lost to Lorenzo Menafield by a single knockdown. Honestly, I thought he was winning the fight, but that knockdown is what caused him to lose. Good striking volume, decent grappling, but nothing to be worried about as far as submission threats or anything like that. But I think he can hold his own somewhat. He's taking on Julius Walker, who's 26 years old with a pro record of 7-1, UFC record of 1-1, nicknamed the Juice Box. Juice Box Julius Walker. One loss to Alonzo Menafield as well on a short notice as his UFC debut. He did all right. He didn't do horrible in that fight. He does have one win over Rafael Cachoeira, who is honestly, in UFC terms, a bowl of dog water. All right, striking, nothing special. His bread and butter is grappling. It's hard to say how good he is in the grappling realm. That last minute fight with Alonzo Menafield just it told a little about him. He's a dog. He's willing to go to war, but at the same time, there's a lot I got to see when it comes to that grappling at this level. For those reasons, I'm out. No, for those reasons, I'm gonna go with Dustin Jacoby by decision. I think he survives the grappling exchanges. I think he just gets the more volume on the feet. He's the grittier fighter here. He has the experience. I can see him getting a big win in his career at 37 years old here. I'm going a couple dogs on this card that. Well, yeah, Jacoby's not a dog. I think he was at first, and now some money's moved in on him. So yeah, I don't know. It is a little strange. But anyway, we're going to go Dustin Jacoby by decision. Let's move on to, all right, we got Farid Basharat taking on Gene Matsumoto. Right here in the bantamweight division, Gene Matsumoto is 26 years old with a 17-1 pro record. He is 3-1 in the UFC. What I've noticed, he's a pretty composed fighter. Good grappling defense, good offensive grappling, shows sub looks. He is pretty hittable. He lost to Rob Font because he was just too hittable in that third round. It was a very competitive fight, very good fight. Could have been 1-1. Rob Font just seemed to put on the more volume, caught him with that jab numerous times, and that's why he lost. If anyone watched that and was confused on the result, I'll tell you, that's why. Crazy last 30 seconds though of that fight. It was a pretty good fight. All around fighter though, and he looks to have a good amount of potential in the UFC. I can see him being a really good guy. He has decent volume output combined with takedowns, which is a good recipe to have in the UFC. So we'll look to see how he shows those skills facing Farid Basharat. Farid Basharat's the minus 290 favorite with Gene Matsumoto at that plus 235. Farid, he's 28 years old with a 14-0 pro record, 5-0 in the UFC. He is the ferocious Farid. He's a clean technical striker. When he's striking, he looks to show good level changes. When it comes to the takedowns, they're very quick and he times them pretty well. Decent control when on top and looks to land strikes while on being on top. Once he's comfortable, he lets loose with some slick combinations, and he has a clean right hand, and he'll throw that. He has like a kind of it's an overhand, but it definitely looks like a straight almost, and it's pretty quick and it looks to do some damage. Good arsenal overall though, and he does have submission threats. He's someone to be worried about once you're on the ground with him, so that's something for Gene Matsumoto to think about. We're gonna go with ferocious Farid Basharat by decision. He has a slight speed advantage here, slightly more technical with the entries as far as grappling and striking. And overall, this is a very high level bout, though. Very good matchup. These guys are both going to display how good they are no matter the outcome. So, very excited for this fight. This is a banger right here. Farid Basharat by decision. Let's move on. Let's move on to the middleweight division. We got Michael Oleksiejczuk taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, minus 410 favorite. Barriault, the plus 320 dog. Mikhail is 30 years old with a pro record of 21-9, UFC record of 9-7-1. He is the brother of Cezary Oleksiejczuk. I'm just kind of mumbling this name by now. I'm not even putting in effort. He has good stand-up movement overall, though. Closes the distance pretty well. He has a good ducking lead hook. He is a consistent boxing pressure type fighter. And he does really well when he's in boxing range. In the MMA range, if you know what you're doing, you can get more success on him. But if you stay in boxing range with him, you will get tagged quite often. But he always looks to bring the fight. He's taking on Marc-Andre Barriault, who is the same. He's 35 years old with 17-10 pro record. He is 6-9-1 in the UFC. He's a good striker, vicious clinch work against the fence. He's gritty. He's best when the fight is messy, as long as his chin can hold up. I feel like versus Shara, I feel like he had a chance for Shara Bullet, and he could have just been more aggressive. And I think he was showed a lot of respect and was really hesitant. But honestly, Shara isn't that good. And I was fooled at one point in thinking he was really good, but he's not that good. And Barriault honestly had a chance there to do something, and he did not. That's not the reason why I'm going to pick him to get knocked out by Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, but that is something that I noticed. But I think Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is going to get the knockout. He has a speed advantage. He's a more technical boxer. He's more active in the octagon, but this is also a good fight overall. I would expect violence on this fight. All right, but excited for this one. That line is pretty wide as far as like a 410 favorite to put money on Michael Oleksiejczuk, so I might just target an under or something like that as far as the rounds. But pretty excited for this fight. This will be a good one. All right, moving on to the heavyweight division, we got Jailton Almeida taking on Rizvan Kuniev. Jailton Almeida, the minus 148 favorite, 34 years old with a pro record of 22-4, UFC record of 8-2. He is a persistent elite grappler. That's where it stops. We're going to move on to Rizvan. I'm just kidding. He's also had some good fights versus high-level competition. He lost a split decision to Alexander Volkov, where they did not reward the lay-and-pray grappling. They actually rewarded the strikes and stand-up of Alexander Volkov. People were upset. I cashed in on that. It is what it is. He relies on his grappling, though. He doesn't really advance and transition a whole lot, though, and I don't like that. It doesn't really look the best. He has some power in the hands, but more effective when he's in the mount, when on top, and can lay those punches down on you. And he's gonna look to get this fight to the ground for sure. Most likely, he's gonna be trying that against Rizvan Kuniev, who is that plus 124 dog. He is 33 years old with a pro record of 12-3. He is 0-1 in the UFC, but his UFC debut came to Curtis Blades, and he ended up losing in a split decision. He got better as the fight went on, in my eyes. He was piecing up Blades at one point. Showed decent grappling defense, but overall, yeah, he's a skilled boxer. He's a pretty technical boxer in there. You know, the more you watch him, he's pretty slick and technical, but he has a good check lead hook. If he can defend the takedowns and not go to the ground, which he like mostly what he did versus Curtis Blades for the most part, you know, he did get it controlled a bit, but if he could do that and learn from his mistakes, I got him winning Rizvan Kuniev by decision. Good enough grappler, but he's a way better boxer. When we're talking stand-up, he is levels above the stand-up. I don't think Almeida is levels above in the grappling. So Kuniev by decision, despite the 0-1 UFC debut record. All right, don't judge him on that. We are getting into the last fight before the main fight of the evening, with Amir Albazi taking on Kyoji Horiguchi. This is an exciting one, guys. I'm excited for this one. Amir Albazi, that plus 295 dog. 32 years old with a 17-2 pro record, 5-1 in the UFC, one loss to Brandon Morono. So, you know, think of that with what you will. That is the great. He has a decent body lock work. He's pretty powerful. He has KO power, especially with that straight right. But he looks to get that body lock and get to the back. The one thing I'll say, he had a very questionable win versus Kai France. I could see the fight going towards France's way. I was a little shocked right there, but he seems to have a slow pace when starting off, as lately just doesn't really look super aggressive. He's just really timing that body lock, and I don't know how well that's going to work versus Kyoji Horiguchi, who's a minus 375 favorite. He's 35 years old, 35-5 pro record with a UFC record of 8-1. He fought back in the UFC like over 10 years ago. This is before recently him destroying Tagir Ulanbekov, which I thought was going to win. And yeah, I'm looking at Kyoji a lot different now. But he did fight in the UFC. I think he had 8 fights total. He was 7-1 in that first stint, and his only loss was to Demetrius Johnson, the flyweight GOAT. So looks really well. I know he has some losses outside and like Ryzen and other fight promotions versus like Kaya Sakura, Sergio Pettis. I believe he's gotten some of revenge on these fights as well. But talking about him in the octagon, he has some great movement inside the octagon, in and out striking. He closes the distance very well. He's overall well-rounded striker or fighter. Walking MMA legend that you're seeing right here, and he's still improving as it seems. And his wrestling looked really good versus Tagir Ulanbekov, and with all those coming into factor, I think he's going to win this by decision. He's the faster fighter. As long as he can avoid that body lock, this fight's all his. He should be able to pounce him up on the ground. He should be able to very easily take him out on the feet. He's definitely levels above in the striking when it comes to technicality. So Kyoji Horiguchi by decision, and I might be in agreement with these lines. I would say maybe in the 200s or something, but he you know, prove everybody why you're that favorite. So Kyoji Horiguchi by decision. Let's get into this main fight of the evening. This is a back and forth. My pick is probably not going to reflect my bet, but two hungry guys right now, and Mario Bautista, the minus 180 favorite with a pro record of 16-3, UFC record of 10-3. Crisp, accurate combinations. They call him the problem child for a reason. Overall elite boxer. He has a great gas tank. He's a good grappler. He can get took down, but he knows what to do in the scrambles. He closes the distance very well. He has submission threats, and he has some fast hands. Like I said, those combinations are just vicious. He had a good fight versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Before that, Showdown versus Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix obviously is now cut, but there's a lot of factors and things you could talk about, if you really want to get into MMA math right there. But overall, he's just a really good fighter. He's going to be at this top of this division. I don't know if he'll ever get the belt, but he will be one of those guys like a Gilbert Burns, where if you want the belt, you got to get through him. Vince Oliveira will exactly be looking to do that as the plus 150 underdog. He is 30 years old with a 23-3 pro record. He is 4-0 in the UFC. He is the lock dog. He is a confident style stance. Hands down, inviting the exchanges, slick, explosive striker. Best when the fight is messy and less technical. Good head movement when inside range as well. He does the little duck and looks to get off some wild uppercuts. He showed that his cardio was all right in the Kyler Phillips fight. That's one thing I've seen. He showed that his cardio is not that bad, and he's probably getting better. And when it comes to that realm of the fight game, but when he does get in trouble, he looks to wrestle, and he looks to be all right at it. I don't know how he will do with Bautista. I think Bautista is going to be good enough in the scrambles to not really be threatened there. But when it comes to the striking, I think Bautista is just more technical and smart enough to get in and out. I'm going to go Mario Bautista by decision. I think he gives Oliveira his first loss. This is going to be low confidence, though. Oliveira is very live for a KO here. But I think the combinations are going to allow for more volume over time, and that gas tank is going to. I think what's certain, he's in that fourth, fifth round with Bautista. I think it's going to show if they make it that far. If he has a chance at winning, he has to do it before those championship rounds. So yeah, I think Bautista is going to play it smart. He's going to stay out of range. He's going to really, really get this fight into those later rounds and gas him out. Maybe try to get this fight to the fence. Overall, though, I think he'll get the more volume. Exciting fight, exciting card. Glad I get to break this down. Can't wait to watch it. I will be probably posting on the Discord my bets. Might give out all of them for free. We were 3 for 4 on the parlays last week, so it's a fight night. Why not? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you go like and subscribe. Follow the socials. If you like the beat, go ahead, send me an email. Drop a comment. We could talk about that. I hope you guys have a good one.